You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go.
Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Grantcast. My name is Grant Baciocco. I put the Grant in the Grantcast. It's great to have you here. This is episode number 261. I didn't do anything to celebrate episode 260, but 260 is not really a celebration type episode. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And a big shout out to all the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com and set up a monthly pledge. But more about that. That sounds exactly the same as what I just said at the very end of the show. I did a show a few episodes ago about using ChatGPT and using it to create things, using it to help organize things. And can I just say that I don't know what has happened. I don't know if it's because more people have started using it, but it has gotten really bad. It's gotten like things where I was like, oh, wow, ChatGPT can do this. It's gotten miserable now. And so, yeah, I find myself not using it more. And I can hear people saying, oh, that's great. But let me tell you, like, the things I would use it for. I would put in a transcript of this podcast, and I would say, pull out the links to things that I mentioned. And it would do it very, very quickly. Some of the times the links would not be correct. It would just make up links. But for the most part, I would go through and I would check it. And so for things like that, I see that it's useful. And one thing that I did it for is I host a podcast called Under the Puppet. And I would take a bio from one of my interview guests' website and I would put it into ChatGPT and I would just say, just brainstorm a list of questions based on this bio. Now, I wouldn't use those questions verbatim. I would look through the list and go, oh, yeah, that might be a good question to ask. And I would reword it or I would do something like that. And it was just sort of a good, the same thing with the links. It was a good condensing tool. It would take a lot of text, condense it down into a thing. But what happened is when I noticed this, I would say, oh, I have another to ChatGPT. I say, I have another Under the Puppet interview coming up. I would like to give you another bio and have you brainstorm a list of questions. And it would say, I hate that it always starts with, wow, that's so great. You're doing another episode. Please send me the bio so I can, I'm just like, just say, okay, that's all I need. I don't need all this flowery language. So I put in a bio and I start looking through the questions and I go, none of these are correct. Like one or two of them are like from the bio I just posted. And then I realized it was pulling from all the previous bios. And it didn't do that before. I could put in a bio, I would get questions for that bio. Put in a bio, getting questions for that bio. But recently, it's just started pulling in all these random pieces for all these other bios. Even if I tell it, don't continue. Forget all previous bios, only concentrate on this bio that I'm giving you. It would still pull completely wrong information from other bios. So I've stopped using it for that. And I know there's people out there who are going, well, that's good. You shouldn't have used it in the first place. But I thought it was a good condensing tool. And it was a good condensing tool. And I don't know if it's just because sometimes I think things get worse right before an update. And like they know about it and they're going to update it, but I don't know. It hasn't been updated, it's starting to lose its luster. I would say because it's just pulling incorrect info. And so for this, I'm recording this on August 5th. 2025. And this Thursday, I have another Under the Puppet interview. And I didn't even bother with ChatGPT. I was just like, I'm going to write my own questions because ChatGPT is failing me. Speaking of failing me, when I moved to Southern California in 1997, my first full night in Southern California, moving down here permanently, was December 31st, 1997. So I spent New Year's Eve in my new apartment. in Burbank, California. Shortly after I moved here, I just felt that our mailboxes at the apartment were not safe. And in fact, I think somebody broke into one of them. And once that happened, I was like, okay, I'm not going to have my mail delivered here. Not that I got really sensitive stuff. I mean, even by this time when I was substitute teaching, I had direct deposit. So it wasn't that I was getting checks in the mail or anything like that. But I was like, I want a more secure place to put my mail. And within walking distance, where I lived in Burbank was right on the border of this little part of LA called Toluca Lake. And Toluca Lake, I don't call it this. I've heard people call it the Beverly Hills of the Valley, because we live in the San Fernando Valley. It is a part of LA. It's called Toluca Lake, but there's a lot of celebrities who live there. So when I first moved in, she doesn't live there anymore, but Jennifer Love Hewitt lived there back when she was like on TV shows and in movies and everything. And always the thing was, she lived in one house, and then across the street, her mom lived in that house. And that was always just a cool thing, because you'd be like, there's Jennifer Love Hewitt's house, there's her mom's house. And I'm trying to think who else. Rick Dees, the DJ. You may not know who Rick Dees is, because he was more popular in the 80s. But Rick Dees, we see him walking around all the time. Very, very cool to see Rick Baker. Rick Baker is makeup artist extraordinaire. And one of those people who I think, well, he's very kind of distinctive, but I think if you just saw him and you didn't know about special effects makeup, you might not recognize who he is. George Lopez lives in the area. Anyway, there's a lot of celebrities who live in the area, so there's a lot of nice homes. It's a very nice place to walk. And when I moved into my apartment, the street my apartment was on butted right up against Toluca Lake. So I would always go through a walk through Toluca Lake. And it's very nice. Like, literally, I've not every single day since I've lived in Southern California, but many days. Because even when I moved from that apartment, we would still drive to Toluca Lake to do walks, because it's so nice to do walks in Toluca Lake. And even to this day, this morning, we went to take Harvey for a walk. We walked in Toluca Lake. And usually my wife will walk Harvey while I go do like an exercise walk / light jog, whatever. So Toluca Lake, very, very small town feel, very, very super nice homes, but there's a lot of things in Toluca Lake places that we visit a lot. Sharky's, which is a restaurant, we go there a lot. There's Bob's Big Boy. There's the Gary Marshall Theater, which we've seen shows at. And then there is this little tiny post office. And when my mailboxes at my place in 1998 were getting broken into, I was like, I'm going to get a P.O. box. So I went down there and I got a P.O. box at the Toluca Lake post office. This post office was tiny. There were 3 windows. There was a little alcove that had the machine later on. But when I first started, there was a scale there, but there was not the machine where you can get postage out of. And then there was this little hallway that went to the back parking lot, and there were P.O. boxes along that hallway. And so I got in line and I signed up for the smallest P.O. box. I was going to get a bigger one, but then I just realized that if they have a package for you, they won't put it in the big box. They just put a slip in your thing. So it doesn't matter. You can get the small one. And so from 1998, I had a P.O. box. When Dr. Floyd became big, that was the P.O. box for Dr. Floyd Industries. And in fact, in the song I Want Presents that Dr. Steve sings, he says you can send cash to P.O. Box 2764, Toluca Lake, California, 91610. And even to this day, when I say the zip code, I say it in my head the way that Dr. Steve said it in that song. That was the actual address. And that has been seriously, I remember there was a guy named Larry and there was a woman named Carol who worked there at the very, very beginning of that post, or when I started going to that post office. And Larry looked like David Crosby, and Carol was this very nice older woman. I hope they are both doing very, very well. This is back in 98, early 2000s. And just literally all my mail would go there. So I would go there to every day to pick up my mail. I would walk, I would substitute teach. I would get home about 3:30. I would change into shorts and a t-shirt and then walk to Toluca Lake to pick up my P.O. box and walk back. It was a walk on to the post office that I rolled my ankle on a seed pod from a liquid amber tree and broke my ankle, and I was halfway to the post office. I had to walk home on the broken ankle and then get somebody to drive me to the hospital to fix that. But literally, this post office is somewhere I would go to every single day. And about a year and a half ago, well, there were always rumors that the post office was closing. And there was always not rumors that they were going to move. And about a year and a half ago, they said, we're going to move to a temporary location that is in the parking lot behind where the building is now. And then they're going to build this new building, this huge development where the thing is, where the post office is now. And what was going to go in there was a Gelson's, which is a supermarket chain. It's like fancy supermarket. It's like hoity-toity supermarket. And perfect for Toluca Lake. Toluca Lake, they would want a Gelson's. And then the post office was going to move back into the Gelson's. So they moved into this temporary thing. Now, in that meantime, the post office had come up with this thing called signature. I don't know what it's, sign for delivery or something like that. And the thing is, if you had a P.O. box, you could start having UPS and FedEx deliver to your P.O. box. And then they would have the power to sign for you. And a lot of times, if you're ordering something online or you're buying something from somebody and they say FedEx goes, we don't deliver to P.O. boxes. UPS says, we don't deliver to P.O. boxes. And a lot of little couriers say, we don't deliver to P.O. boxes because we need somebody to sign for it. Well, with this service, you could tell Amazon, or you could tell UPS and FedEx to deliver to your P.O. box. They would just give you the street address of the post office. So when this move happened, there was a period of about 6 months where every UPS package that I had ordered, they would send you a thing going, this can't be delivered because we can't find the place. And it's like, yeah, you can't find the place because that address is torn down, but the place is now in a trailer behind where this big construction site is. And so finally UPS caught on, finally FedEx caught on, and it was no problem. A couple days within the past 2 weeks, I've gone to the post office. Literally, I go there every day. I go to the post office, and there is a sign saying temporarily closed due to construction because the parking lot was this big giant parking lot that the little temporary building was in, but they walled off that parking lot. They put up construction fences, and then they were doing construction along the other side of the post office. This is hard to explain without visuals. That was alongside the 134 freeway, and they started building a cinder block wall along there. And there was just kind of this little entranceway, like you used to be able to park in front of the post office in the parking lot. Now you can't. And there was this little entranceway where you could walk through along planks to get into where the little area where the post office was. And even if the post office was closed, you could still get access to your P.O. box. So it was fine. This past Saturday, I'm recording this on Tuesday, drive over because I knew I had a package coming into the post office. I go into the post office. There's the sign temporarily closed due to construction, but there's a second sign. And the second sign says, we have suspended all postal service delivery activity at this location. If you have a P.O. box here, you can pick up the stuff at your P.O. box over at the Chandler post office, which is this other post office that's further away. But until further notice, there is no mail delivery here at this location. and we are going to try and find a new location. And the reason given was that the landlord, the person who owns this parking lot, has prevented them from accessing the building. So I think what that means is the big truck that they would get every day that has all the mail for all the P.O. boxes, they couldn't park anywhere near there. And parking has become horrible since they got rid of that parking lot. They could, and I know when it comes back, it used to be a free lot. It's going to be a pay lot. Of course it is, because that's the way things go. But that big truck couldn't park there, and so they couldn't get the mail into the post office, and so they just closed the post office. So now I have to drive to this other post office to pick up my mail. And this post office is like a bigger post office, and it's not nice. Like, it's not a nice post office. I shouldn't say this out loud. I'm sure nobody from the post office is listening, but it's not nice. And the first time I went in there on Saturday, there is a guy at the counter talking to somebody at the post office. So I open the door and I walk in, and this guy's leaning on the counter, and he's got short workout shorts on, and then a regular t-shirt, but the t-shirt is a little bit too small to just come down to the top of the shorts. So there's about an inch gap. And then it's just his hairy butt crack. So that's the first image when I walk into this new post office, is this guy's butt. And I'm instantly like, I don't like this post office. I don't like this post office. And then when I went up to the thing and I said, hi, I have a P.O. box in Toluca Lake, so I'm here to pick up my mail. Like, literally, the guy rolls his eyes, and then he has to get down. He has to write down my name and write down my post office box number. And then he gets up and he slowly starts walking. And listen, I know everybody has a bad day, but this is how it works now. So you can't give me attitude when I come in here and ask for this stuff, and you have to get up and get it. Because, I'm sorry that I'm making you get up and get it, but that's just what we have to do, because I don't have a post office anymore. And it really bums me out, because since 1998, going to either walking or driving to the post office was a daily activity. And when there were times where I couldn't get back to the post office in time before they closed, like, it was a bummer. It's like, I'll have to go tomorrow to check and see if there's anything there, because literally all my mail has gone there. Also, now because of this, I have several things that I have pre-ordered. And I have to try and remember all the things I pre-ordered, because there are things that will come to the street address of the post office, and that won't work. If people send me things through regular mail, even if they send it to the street address, that's not a problem. That's going to get to me fine. But this UPS FedEx thing is not going to work anymore, because there's no street address, right? So it's just it really bummed me out. And I know it's such a weird thing to be bummed out about, but it's been a tradition to go to this post office. And even when they moved to a trailer, it was still, I'm going to go here. And I'm hoping really soon that they will find a new location. And I will say that when they moved from the original location to this trailer, there was only one day that they were closed. It totally shocked me. They just literally ripped the post office boxes out of the wall and then put them into a wall in this new place. So that was really cool, and it was really super efficient, and I'm hoping they can find a new place and our service is soon. But the street address will change. It still won't be 10063 Riverside Drive, because that address is now the Gelsons. There are townhouses built, like big luxury townhouses built above the Gelsons. And we have kind of talked, because we're in a rental right now. It's like, maybe we should look at the townhouse. And I said, well, we should go over there and we should look at the outhouse, and we should, or not the outhouse, the townhouse. We should look at the townhouse and start to seriously make an offer on it. And then at the end go, and this is so great because there's a post office downstairs, and make them say, oh no, the post office is not going in, and go, well, then forget it, because it's your fault, because it's the same landlord who owns the Gelsons and that building and the parking lot and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, there you go, friends. That is my ramble for today. Love your post office, because you never know when your post office is going to go away, and it's a big pain when it does. Thank you for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode of the Grantcast. I hope you are doing well, and I will talk to you soon. This episode of the Grantcast was made possible by the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who've gone to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up a pledge for as little as $1 a month. Patrons at the behind-the-scenes level and above get access to a video of the recording of these episodes, and a big shout-out to all of our patrons, and a special shout-out to our patron producers, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, Brandy, David Akers, Lee Thompson, Paul, Ricky Chavez, and Scott Armstrong. If you'd like to become a patron and receive commercial-free episodes of the Grantcast before they are released, visit patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media and set up your monthly pledge today. And thank you for your support. This episode of the Grantcast is copyright 2025 Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.SaturdayMorningMedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.